Hello world, nice to meet you. My name is Austin Harshberger. I'm a product manager at Aleo, and today we're going to show you how to deploy and execute an Aleo application using the Leo programming language, which is a Rust DSL. The first thing that you're going to want to do is head over to our developer documentation at developer.aleo.org. At developer.aleo.org, you'll find a number of different resources available to you, including Leo examples, as well as Aleo concepts. Aleo concepts is where you can learn about all of Aleo's key ideas, in particular records. Records are important because we're going to talk through those a little bit today. Because we're in the beta phase for Testnet 3, we're going to be looking through a record directly, which is kind of exciting, both the cipher text and the plain text, and we'll be decrypting that cipher text in order to deploy our application. After you are ready to deploy your Leo application, you'll want to head over to our testnet demo. This is our deploy and execute demo. In order to be successful with this demo, you want to have a few things already installed on your machine. In particular, you want to make sure that you have both Leo and SnarkOS installed. If you're not sure how to do that, you can find the repo links for both Leo and SnarkOS here in our documentation. For both of these repositories, there is a README which will walk you through the quick install process. It shouldn't take too long. Both of these instructions are catered towards Linux or Mac-based machines, but you can also do them on a Windows machine in a virtualized environment. After you've made sure that you have both Leo and SnarkOS installed, which you can check that you have done so by typing Leo and SnarkOS respectively, if you don't see something along the lines of command not found, you should have both installed successfully. After you've installed those, you want to try to install, or I would recommend installing a JSON beautifier tool. This is because during this demo, we're going to be going through a JSON object, which can be difficult to do in the browser alone. Awesome. Let's exit out of both of these. Cool. So after you've installed all of your required tools in order to be successful, let's clear our screen here. You'll want to first head over to aleo.tools. At aleo.tools, you can check out our JavaScript libraries in use real time, as well as generate your new account record, as well as address, private key, etc. You can also see a few other advanced tooling here if you want to check it out later. Today, we're going to focus on creating or generating our new account details. We highly recommend that you save these details in a separate text file, although it's not required. It makes following the demo a lot easier. You'll see that I've already created a Sublime text file here with labels, just for ease of following the demo. It's not required, but doing so will likely increase your chances of success. Now let's copy our view key, and lastly, our private key. These fields are going to be useful later, so I would recommend that you pause this video and add them to your text file, but as I mentioned earlier, they are not required. Awesome. Now that we have our private key, view key, and address copied, let's head over to our Aleo Faucet. A faucet, if you're not familiar, is basically a way to obtain tokens, or in this case, Aleo credits, before the blockchain's mainnet is live, and also it allows you to test different features. Sometimes faucets are also used for cool benefits to the ecosystem or the community by solving small tasks or interesting initiatives like creating an infographic, etc. In order to request your tokens from our Aleo Faucet, which is just a simple Twitter bot, you'll want to follow the tweet composition that I've outlined here. You can either copy the tweet in its entirety, or you can just copy from send, which I'm going to do in this case, because I know if I click this button here, it will directly tweet at Aleo Faucet. Replace your wallet address with your corresponding wallet address that you copied earlier, and then send off the tweet. In order for the Aleo Faucet to respond to your tweet, allow roughly 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes 2 minutes, but it can often take a little bit longer, especially as you can see there are a number of people testing it, which is awesome to see. While you're waiting on the Aleo Faucet to, quote, retweet your request, we're going to head over to our terminal and create our first Leo application. You can see here that I've preceded commands, which you can also use as a script if you put them in a bash script and then run it. But I would recommend copying and pasting these commands directly as you see them. As I have notated here, you can change these directories and folders if you like, but it's probably easier just to follow them for simplicity's sake. The first thing that we're going to do is head over to our desktop and make a directory or a folder called demo deploy Leo app, and then we're going to enter into that folder. In this case, I already have that folder existing. We'll go ahead and remove it for the purposes of this demo to make our lives easier, and then rerun that command. Cool. Great. So you'll see here that we have both created the folder and now we are in the folder, which you can check with the command print working directory, pwd. After you've done that, we're going to assign our wallet address to the variable wallet address. The reason I have done this is because it will make running the deploy script a bit easier later. Copy your wallet address and place that in between the quotation marks. After you've done that, we get to create a new application name. In this case, you want your application names to be semi-random or unique, and so I've created a variable here that will create your application name using a portion of your wallet address, which is always unique. If you want to check to see what that is, you can echo your variable here, and you can see that has generated it automatically. After you've done that, it's time to actually create your application, which you can do using the Leo new command. Leo new will automatically create a basic Hello World application for you, but you can also create your own Leo application if you're familiar and go through the deploy process that way. If you'd like to learn how to create a Leo application and more in-depth Leo itself, we have the Leo Playground, which you can access at play.leo-lang.org. It's a super cool resource if you would like to learn more. So you can see we've successfully created our Leo application. The next thing that we're going to do is enter into the application itself. Go ahead and list my directory so you can see. And what that will do is allow us to actually run the application.aleo file and then cd into our previous directory just for cleanliness. You can see that the application was successfully compiled, built, and executed, and you can see here the successful output as well. After you've done that, I would recommend that you save the path to your current Leo application. Again, this just makes your life a lot easier when we're going to go ahead and create the script later for deploying your application. I'm going to check that this has been successfully saved just by echoing it, which it has, which is awesome. After you've done that, let's head back over to the Aleo Faucet and check to see if it has retweeted our request. Awesome, it looks like it has. Once Aleo's Faucet has retweeted your request, you'll want to look for this link, which has a prefix of vm.aleo.org. If you open up that link, you'll see here a JSON object that is returned. This is your actual JSON object that is tied to your wallet address, as well as the tokens that were sent. In order to navigate to your record file, which is your outputs, this includes your record cipher text, you head over to execution transitions at 0, and then you go over to outputs at 0. Whoops, I'm glad we checked that, and then copy the value here. For reference, I have included the actual JSON object's location for the record value, which should make it easier to follow. And as I recommended earlier, if you haven't already, please install a JSON beautifier tool. It makes your life a lot easier. Now that we've copied our record ciphertext value, let's go and back into our Sublime text and copy it here. Again, this is not required, it's just for ease of the demo. After you've done that, you'll want to generate your plaintext. Basically, plaintext is the human readable version of ciphertext, which is generated during the cryptographic process of the zero-knowledge proofs. You can learn more about plaintext in ciphertext by checking out the concepts section that I mentioned earlier, which we'll briefly go back to, and then click on the records area. If you look at the transition function itself, it will walk you through what the record ciphertext is, and you can also Google what ciphertext and plaintext are if that would be helpful to you. Cool. In order to generate your plaintext record, I would recommend opening a new tab for aleo.tools and then head over to the records section. Once you're here, copy your ciphertext value that you were able to obtain from your JSON object earlier, followed by your view key that you were generating as well earlier. If all is successful, you should see a returned array here, which includes a few values that will be valuable to you. Copy this and then place it in your text edit window. Make sure that these symbols are not generated in a weird way, which can sometimes happen with Mac OS's default text editor, which is why I recommended using Sublime in this case. Awesome. The next thing that you're going to want to do after you've done that is deploy your application, which is super cool. As I've said before, I've created a few simple variables and commands that you can directly follow, which will make deploying your application easier, but you can, of course, change these values if you've, for example, used a different directory. That's where this path to app variable that I copied earlier is important. We're going to go ahead and go to our application path, and then we're going to assign the variable private key your actual private key, which you should have in your text edit window. After you've done that, you need to assign your plaintext record to the variable record, which we're going to copy here. After you've done that, if all things have been done successfully, you can copy your deploy script down here. It's just a command excuse me, using SnarkOS that you want to copy, and then paste that. And if you hit enter, you should see creating a deployment transaction for your Hello World Aleo app that you've created. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds in order for your deployment to successfully process, as you have seen here, which is awesome. The cool thing to do next, if you would like, is to go ahead and head over to aleo.tools once more, and then click on the REST API. If you type in your Aleo application name with the get program method, you should be able to see that your program is now successfully on-chain. Excuse me. To verify this is working, just type something bogus in here and you shouldn't see anything come up. So let's test that again. As you see, nothing pops up, but if you put your application name, you'll see that it's living there. Awesome. If you have any questions about this demo, feel free to reach out to hello@aleo.org, or you can reach out to me personally on the interwebs. My Twitter handle is blockchaincurio, and my Aleo email is austin@aleo.org. I look forward to seeing you on the interwebs, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are.